Hey everybody, this is the first video for R, and I'm going to take you through how you can basically get set up with R and RStudio and the basics of how you navigate the piece of software. And hopefully this screencasting will be a very helpful way for you to see this. And this is how I will do all the R videos so that you can see everything happening in front of you. And I may switch screencast programs at some point. We've got the little watermark I know down here, so I'll experiment with that. But let's get you set up with the basics here and try to do it in under 15 minutes. So this is just my desktop, and I've already downloaded R, and I have already downloaded RStudio. And to get to RStudio, that's the only thing you're going to use. R, you won't click on that directly, you're just going to go to RStudio. So I like to keep it on my taskbar down here, and I also have a shortcut up here. So I'll just click on that to open it up. And the first time you do it, I'm going to X out some things here. The first time you do it, it might look something like this, or it might be blank actually over here. In any event, you'll have some setup like this. I've got some preset features on mine. So let's break down step by step what it is we have in front of us and what we can do with it. Okay, so there are four main areas to look at, and one of them is hidden, but we'll get to that one at the end at this moment. The main area where you will see output is this thing here, this console. And when you open RStudio, it gives you some basic information about the current version. I think I need to update mine. Mine's a little bit old. Yep. Anyway, so you see we've got a blinking cursor here, and without even worrying about anything, I can type commands. I'm just gonna type gibberish. I can type commands into this thing and see what it does. Now I'm just typing in gibberish here, and R does not recognize that, so obviously that's not going to do anything. But for example, I could type in some math, and it will give me a number back. Or for instance, I could say, hey, I want to save 2 plus 2 and call it x. Great, now I've got this thing called x, and it spits it back. Anyway, you won't have to do much of that. My whole point in telling you and showing you this is that you can type things in here, you can run your commands all in here, and you'll see the output. But that's not how I'm going to have you do it, because there's a much more efficient way to do it, which we'll get to in a second. Okay, the second area, which I'm going to make a little bit bigger, is this upper right window. And this has two things to it, two big things. One, it's got a history of everything you've done back to a certain point. And so as you can see, I've run a lot of different stuff in RStudio in the past that's just sitting there. So it memorized everything I did. And you can play with that. This other thing is called environment. And the environment is really nice because what it does, it currently shows you what data sets you have open, what variables you may have created, or values or other things you may have made, basically things you've made that it currently is holding. Yours is probably going to be blank because you haven't imported data yet. You haven't made anything yet. But this is where those things will go, and you'll be able to see that, and there's information there. But you won't physically have to do anything with this area at the moment. It's just for your information. Going down here, there are a number of things in this lower right-hand corner that are done. The two main things you're going to do are look at the plots. Now, I have not made a plot yet since opening RStudio, and you probably haven't either, so it's blank. But whenever you tell R to graph something, that graph is going to show up over here. And then you'll be able to save it as different things, cut it, paste it elsewhere, that sort of a thing. The other nice thing, if you click on the word packages, this is going to show you these things called, well, packages. Let me explain what that is. So R is a piece of software, and RStudio I like to think of as like a canvas for R. What you can do with R, though, is that people have made new things that you can do in R, and they put it in called packages. Just think of it like extra tools. Like, think of R as having a basic toolbox with a hammer, a screwdriver, and some nails. Well, because it is open source, people have made, for example, in our metaphor, power tool drivers, saws, a laser level. In other words, people have made things, new things you can do in R, and then they put them in what are called packages. And I'll show you how you get at those, because we will use some of those packages to do things that we want to do. But all the packages that I've ever installed are listed here with information. And if I actually want to use them, I have to use a special command, which I will get to in another video for the R help and tips files. So in any event, the packages that you've currently installed are all here, and any plots you've made are here. And again, we can get to this later, but you can look at and find packages, you can install them here, etc. So that's what is there. Okay, so one other thing, and to me this is the most important thing. I'm going to go up to this little white square with the green circle and the white plus sign. I'm going to click on that. And that's going to give me a bunch of options to open new things. And the thing that you are going to use most often is this thing called an R script. So I'm going to click on that and give myself a blank slate, an R script, and it says Untitled 1. That's the name of it. All this is, think of it as like a sheet of paper that you write all your code in, and then you can write notes to yourself in, and then you save that, and you can run the statistics, the commands, whatever you need to run, you do it right from here. The great thing is, when you type things in here, and then move on, it saves it all. It saves it like a sheet of paper that you would take with you, put it in a folder, put it in your backpack, your bag, or whatever, and then you always have that sheet of paper. So this basically lets you just save everything you do, and you can organize it and run code directly from it. And so, for example, I'm just going to do what we did before. I'm going to just type in 2 plus 2 up here. Okay, now nothing's going to happen because I haven't told R to do anything. Again, this is just like a blank sheet of paper, and I've just written down 2 plus 2. So if I want to get it to do something, I can do many things in order to get this to actually run down below. And hopefully the watermark is not in the way. I may make an adjustment later on. But in any event, so 2 plus 2, here's one thing I can do. I can highlight it, and I can click this Run button. And as you can see, it inputted 2 plus 2 down below here, and it gave me the answer. Fantastic. I'm going to hit Enter a few times and make some space. And now let's do, say, 3 plus 3. I can also just hit Control and Enter. You can't see me doing this, but that's what I'm doing. Control, Enter. And now what it's done is it's inputted 3 plus 3 down below and given me 6 as an output. So that's all this thing is. I write commands and can save them. Command 1, Command 2, Command 3, what have you. These aren't actual R commands. They won't do anything. As you can tell, it doesn't do anything. But as an example, I can just type in commands. I can highlight and hit run, or I can keep it on the line that I want and just hit Control Enter, and it will run that and spit things out below. And if I want, I can highlight multiple things at once and hit Control Enter or hit run. Now it's run 2 plus 2, a bunch of spaces, and 3 plus 3. So there you go. Now, let's say I did a bunch of code here and I've added notes to it. Now I want to save it. So you need to save this, and you can just go File, Save As, and wherever you want, I'll just throw it on my desktop and just say sample script. Great. It's changed the name, and I can, for example, now just close out of R. I don't want to, okay, whenever you exit R, it says save workspace image to this. Don't do that because it saves the current state of things, and generally when you start R over, you want to start fresh. So anyway, so I'm not going to save the session itself. I already saved the script file, and I'm going to hit don't save. So now let's say I want to go back and look at this sample script that I just made. Well, I'm going to go back to RStudio. And the beautiful thing about RStudio is that it actually has a nice memory. It already, because I never X'd out of the sample script, it's still sitting there waiting for me. But I could, for example, just close it out, close down the program, go back into it, and say, whoop, give it a moment, and say, hey, I want to go back to my sample script. Well, I can go to File, Open File, Desktop is where I saved it, and sample script. And there it is. And I can just run everything. Everything in R that you do in this course is going to be through a script, and here's why. One, it saves everything. You do it, again, you're writing down, it's like a sheet of paper that never goes away. You have it, you do something once, you never have to do it again. You have it in a certain file, and that's it. Two, it keeps things very organized. It's very, very organized. And you'll see the R script files that I've made. We'll go through them. It's very nice for organization. Three, when you do homeworks, and for at least one of the exams, I'm going to have you do your work in an R script so that I can go check it. And in that way, if you made a mistake on something, I can go see what you did, and I can try to give you partial credit if you had a good setup or weren't sure. And also at the same time, it's really easy if you're having trouble with something to just send me your script file, and I can look through it to see if there are any mistakes. So really, you're not going to be typing in one thing at a time down below here. I'm going to have you type up all the commands and everything you need to up in here, and you'll save it as script files, and that's how this will go. The beautiful thing is, as you will see, I have made, I can tell you, I've already made, I think, 11 or 12 R scripts that give you everything you possibly need to use for this course with R. All of it and more. I've already written the codes for you. You just need to put in some more of the specifics for your data. And so it's going to be really easy for you, for example, to say, hey, I'm going to open up, and I'll do this in another video, but I'm going to open up a script file that I got, and where's one here? I've got a bunch of them there. I'm just going to open up the second help and tips folder because I say I want to look for something that was done before. And oh, great, look, all these commands say for how the mean, the median, standard deviation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's already all there. And so I've made all these script files for you for that purpose. And they are all in there. So everything we're going to do through scripts, it's straightforward, it's easy, it saves your work, it's efficient, it's organized. I can't talk enough about it, obviously. So great. All right, well, I'm nearing the end of my 15 minutes. This is the basics of how to navigate RStudio. Feel free to explore the different file menus up here and see the different things you can do. We don't need to do everything in here, just a few things. So I'm going to do some of the help video tips files now to show you how that works. and we'll go from there. So thanks for this, and I hope it was helpful.